Welcome to Mpowered Living. I'm your host, Sheu. Each week on this show, we have conversations that help us create greater alignment between who we are, what we value, and how we live. Through honest stories, fresh perspectives, and practical insights, we'll explore the choices that shape a meaningful life at work, at home, and in the relationships that matter most. Because success should support the life you want, not pull you away from it. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm joined by Jon Macaskill. Jon is a former Navy SEAL commander turned mindfulness teacher and co-founder of Focus Now Training, where he helps high performers and leaders manage stress, sharpen their focus, and respond with greater intention. In this episode, we talk about how to move from reactivity to a more grounded response, the surprising practice that can sharpen your edge, and how leaders can uncover the blind spots limiting their impact. Jon also shares what he believes is the most important hour of the day and how it shapes the way you show up both at work and at home. This is a practical conversation about stress, self-awareness, leadership, and learning to move through life with more calm, clarity, and intention. Let's dive in. Jon, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Anne. I know it's been a while in the making, so excited to finally make it happen.
Well, let's get started because I have so much that I want to dig in with you. I know that you went from a very successful career as a Navy SEAL commander to really teaching mindfulness and meditation. So I would love for you to just share about what it took to move from that identity that you built to really the place that you're at right now.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've got to kind of lay the foundation in going back several years here. So in the SEAL teams in 2005, I was involved in an operation that had gone horribly sideways, and we ended up losing a lot of guys. And I won't go into detail on that operation, but I will say that when I say I was involved in it, I was not on it. I was actually sitting behind a computer, much like I'm sitting behind a computer now in an operations center. So I was there watching the computers and doing the chat on the computers and listening to the radios. And when that operation started to go sideways, that's the last place I wanted to be. I wanted to be out there with my guys, and I wasn't. And when we lost those guys, we ended up losing 19 guys on that operation. That caused me a lot of anxiety and survivor's guilt and moral injury that I addressed with self-medication initially, with alcohol and prescription medication. And that didn't help me out at all. That just led me to a worse spot. And I got to a place where I was in a very dark spot, and I was considering some dark options, and I went and sought counseling. And this counselor recommended mindfulness and meditation to me. And this part sounds a little scripted because this is what I speak about on stage. So forgive me if it sounds too scripted. But the counselor, when he told me, hey, why don't you try mindfulness meditation? I laughed in his face because here I perceived myself as this kind of rough and tough Navy SEAL. And he's recommending what I perceived as soft practices, kind of practices for monks and yoga instructors and not me, right? And I don't have anything against monks or yoga instructors. It just wasn't me. And so he sees that I laugh at him, and he sees that I've kind of just written it off. And he says, okay, well, Jon, what if I had a pill that I could give to you that would change your performance personally and professionally, mentally and physically? And as a special operator, as a type A personality, I'm always looking for an edge, something that's going to bump up my performance. So yeah, doc, whatever that pill is, I'll take it. Well, I hear you giggling. So you know what it was, in fact, mindfulness meditation. So now he's sold it to me, quote unquote, as a performance enhancement. So now I'm going to try it. And by God, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way. I'm going to crush meditation. So the next day I sit down to meditate for an hour. I got this app, and I was like, oh yeah, let me find an hour-long meditation, because if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. And I sit down, and I failed epically. It lasted maybe 30 seconds before my mind was everywhere, and I was frustrated. I was like, this stuff is not for me. So I went back to that doc the following week. I'm like, hey man, this mindfulness and meditation stuff, it does not work for me. It does not work for high performers. It doesn't work for a person with a whole long to-do list. And he asks me, what did you do? And I tell him what I just told you. And he said, well, that's like lining up at the starting line of a marathon without ever having run a single step before. You've got to start somewhere, start small. So I said, okay, well, with this, what does starting small look like? And he introduced me, or reintroduced me incidentally, to what is called box breathing, what's known as box breathing. And for those who are listening or watching who don't know it, that's just taking a breath for a count of 4, holding it for a count of 4, breathing out for a count of 4, and holding it for a count of 4. And those are the edges of the box, each one of those. And you do that 4 or 5 times. And what that does is it helps you to tap into the parasympathetic side of the nervous system and kind of calm you down and get you thinking more rationally than emotionally. So I did that in his office, and I noticed a change in how I felt. Very, very subtle, but it was there. And then I left his office and I got cut off by a guy in traffic. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to go chase this guy down and show him who's boss by flipping him the bird or something. I don't know, whatever your brain, your crazy brain is thinking at that time. And I thought, oh, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me to practice that box breathing. So I did it right there behind the steering wheel. And it changed how I felt right then. And it changed my reaction into a response. And it gave me an opportunity to calm down and then just carry on with my day and not try to chase this guy down. And then I started to do that stuff more regularly. And it changed how I felt about things in general. And it ultimately allowed me to get into more in-depth meditations, longer duration meditations. And it changed how I related to my wife, my colleagues, my then one child. And it changed how I related to myself, my relationship with myself. And the reason I say that counselor reintroduced me to box breathing is we had actually done something similar in the SEAL teams to calm us down on the shooting range. We didn't call it box breathing. We called it tactical breathing because it had a cool name. We were like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. But if anybody had said, hey, we want you guys to practice mindfulness or some breath work, then we probably wouldn't have done it. But yeah, funny enough, he reintroduced me to something that I'd had shown to me for tactical reasons. And now I was using them for my own mental and emotional well-being. And that's what started me on that path. And because I believe it changed my life and quite literally saved my life, I feel it's a duty and an obligation to pay it forward. So that's why I went from being the special operator into teaching what a lot of people kind of look at as soft, touchy-feely. And you probably know this very well, it is not. It's actually really hard work, and it is not touchy-feely at all. It's really profound what it can do. And there's science, physiology, biology to why it works. It's incredible.
What would you say to the person that's listening and thinking, okay, this sounds great, but I think it's going to help me lose my edge. You know, like this like anxiety and this like strive for perfection that these high performers have, like that high standard, that high bar.
Yeah.
What happens to our business and to our team when that goes away? When I'm not the one that's like, come on, guys, what's going on? Like, we've got to set a higher standard. And I'm the one that's like constantly, you know, complaining about stuff.
Right.
If I'm relaxed and I'm not letting it bother me, then what happens to the standards?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that it actually gives you an edge. It doesn't take your edge away. A lot of people will say that mindfulness and meditation will help you to relax. What I think it does is it actually changes your relationship with stress. It doesn't necessarily reduce stress or help you to relax. Sometimes it can make you calm down a little bit. It can settle your mind, your nervous system, your body. But what I've found in my experience is that it also helps you to focus on what's important. And that is what the edge is it's being able to prioritize. That's what we do. I run a podcast called Men Talking Mindfulness, and my podcast co-host and I co-founded a company called Focus Now Training. And that's exactly why we did it, is so that people can manage distraction, manage their whole list of priorities. If you have a list of priorities, you don't have priorities, right? You need to understand what on that list is a priority and focus on that and get that done or whatever, go down the line. And I think that gives you an edge, not just for yourself, but also for your team. Because as a leader, your job is to take care of your team and enable them to do the tasks that you've asked them to do. They don't work for you. You work for them. And if you're not able to figure out how to task your people properly and then prioritize how to remove obstacles and impediments from their day to enable them to get done what you've asked them to do, then you don't have the edge. You need to have the edge before you can lose it. And this, I believe, gives you an opportunity to actually have that edge.
What is it that causes us to show up as our best selves at work, and then at home we unravel? And I'm just speaking for me. I feel like sometimes I bring my worst self home and they get the worst of me, the part of me that is completely unraveled and triggered, and all of the things that I don't want to be for my family.
Sure. When you wake up in the morning, and I'm assuming you may use your phone as your alarm clock. A lot of us do. And the first thing we do is maybe we hit snooze a couple times. But once we actually do get out of that snooze phase, we may start jumping on our email on our phone while we're still in bed. And while we're there, we're starting to create a reactive state in our bodies, minds, and nervous systems right off the bat. And then we get out of bed and we put on a mask because we have started to react. We put on this mask of high performing individual. We put on this armor of, hey, I'm perfect. Nothing is going on inside my life that is not perfect. I have no battles that I'm fighting. And we get to work. And by the time we get to work, one, we're we're reactive, but we don't want to show it. So we're covering up with this reactive state with these masks, with this armor, carrying a shield. And that's exhausting. It takes a lot of energy to carry that shield, to put on that mask and hide that reactivity. Underneath that mask, underneath all that stuff, you're a tornado or a hurricane. You're this storm of just turmoil. Many of us are, because we have put ourselves into this reactive state, but we don't want to show it. And then when we come home, this is our opportunity to take that weight off, take that mask, that armor, that shield, and dump it. And now we're going to be our real selves. And all the energy that we've expended during the day to carry that extra weight it's non-existent at home.
Yeah.
So if we're able to carry a lighter shield, wear less of a mask, carry a lighter set of armor, we're going to expend less energy and then have more energy when we get home to be the real responsive self rather than reactive. So the way that we do that is we start by not putting ourselves into a reactive state first thing. The phone right off the bat, that hey, you're answering that email, you're responding to a text message, you're responding to a social media comment, whatever, you're getting into this turmoil right off the bat. If you can give yourself an hour in the morning to exercise, it doesn't have to be an hour of exercise, but an hour in the morning that you block for yourself, quiet time, meditation, some form of exercise. It could just be a walk around the block with your dog, all before turning on your phone. Now, I mean, yes, use your phone as your alarm clock, whatever. Although you're typically setting yourself up for failure by doing that. If you have an old school alarm clock or you use your watch as an alarm clock, you're probably better off. And then start getting into the reacting stuff. Allow yourself to be yourself, to be human with your family, to be human with yourself. If you have nobody at home, just to be yourself before you start jumping into that, before you start loading on that armor. And then through the day, understand that vulnerability and authenticity allows you to drop some of the weight of that armor. And for what I've seen in my experience, it allows you to connect better with your people. They see you as a human being rather than this perfect knight in shining armor, right? They see you as a human being and they can connect better with you. Then they can trust you better and you can trust them better. And all of that lends to carrying less weight through the day and then ultimately showing up as a better version of yourself for your family at the end of the day. At least, again, that's in my experience.
Yeah, that's so good. So when you think about somebody who is like a high achiever, high performer, they're go, 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 and then you're asking them to sit still, that feels maybe luxurious, maybe unrealistic. How would you coach someone through that? Or maybe they just feel like they don't have time for it. They're
Oh,
like, yeah,
yeah.
this sounds important, but they're like, I don't have an hour in the morning.
Right. Yeah. No, I get it. It seems counterproductive, right? Hey, I want you to sit and do nothing for 15 minutes, right? If I told you, if I phrased it like that, I want you to sit and do nothing for 15 minutes. How many people do you think I would get to actually sit down and meditate? Very few.
Well,
I mean, except those
yeah.
who literally want to do nothing.
Yeah.
For the high performers out there who want to get a lot done, and I'm one of them. I'm obsessed with my to-do list. I hate that, but I know that's how I'm wired. I love my to-do list. I love looking back at the end of the day and saying, look what I got done to myself. I don't show that to my
Yeah.
family or anything, but I tell myself, hey, you know what? I accomplished something. And if
Yeah.
I do something that's not on my to-do list,
You're
I
gonna
will write it
write
on
it
my
in
to-do
just
list
so you can
just to
check
check
the
it off.
box.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you feel me. So I am one of those people. And here's the thing is that, again, I'm more productive when I do that 15 or 20 minutes of doing, quote unquote, doing nothing
Yeah.
than I am when I wake up in the morning and just start jumping right into my to-do list.
Yeah.
I am more focused. I understand what my priorities are, understand what on that list is important, and I start knocking it off in that order. And by doing it in that order, then I get the little dopamine hits through the day, and then I'm able to stay productive through the day. That to me, when somebody says they don't have enough time for this, I had a guy come on my show, a former Army Green Beret, and he's also a meditator. And his comeback to that is just gold. So I have to reuse it. He says, somebody saying that I don't have enough time to meditate. It's like saying I'm too dirty to shower. Like you have to be able to cleanse, quote unquote, your all your thoughts and get focused. And I like to think of it as this. There's actually an ROI on that time that you spend, again, quote unquote, doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're going to be more focused. You're going to be more productive. You're focused on your priorities. And what typically is done, now granted, there's no exact science or numbers to this, but let's just say, for example, what's done in 8 hours could be done in 7 hours. And so now you get an extra hour or however long to rest or to go and hit the gym or to maybe do extra work, whatever it is that you want to do. But you get more time back by sitting. And I mean, it's just like sleep. It's very similar to sleep, right? If you go a week and you're working, I don't know, let's say 16, 17-hour days, and you're sleeping 6 hours a night, maybe less, by the end of that week, you've way surpassed that point of diminishing returns. Not only diminishing returns, but probably negative returns. Your work is probably eating into the work of others or eating into the work that you've done earlier that week. Same thing with taking a break for a mindfulness break. It doesn't necessarily have to be meditation. Maybe it's you stop, you get up and walk around the office for a little while. You go get a glass of water. You look out the window. We had David Coe, who's the CEO of the multi-billion-dollar company Calm, the meditation app Calm. And he said he uses his 3 W's, a walk, water, or window. And that resets his battery during the day when he starts to get tired. It's just like recharging our phones, right? If we can recharge our phones, we can recharge our bodies and our minds and our nervous systems, and we're going to be better for it.
Can you talk about what happens when we don't do the recharge? How is this person and their nervous system infecting or affecting the rest of the room and the team?
Yeah. Well, we've all felt it, right? Let's say you're in a meeting and everything's going well. And then that one character from corporate sticks his head in or her head in, and they have this particular energy about them. It's just a nervous energy. You felt that energy from that person, but you've also felt the energy of the room change when that person comes into the room. Who would you rather be? Would you rather be the person who comes to the room and calms the room down and is allowing them to work well together, collaborate, communicate in an effective manner? Or would you rather be the one who kind of comes in there, throws the grenade in the room and then walks out and expects magic to happen? For me, I would rather the first person. I mean, what's happening is a lot of us are living in this sympathetic state, the sympathetic
Mm,
side of the nervous system. The sympathetic side of the nervous system is the side of the nervous system that gets us ready for a fight, quite literally,
mm,
right? And it's there to protect us. It's there to help. I mean, we would not exist today if we didn't have that wired into us. Back
yeah.
in ancient cavemen and women times, I mean, they expected the worst, and by expecting the worst, they stayed alive because they were always defending themselves. Today, we continue to expect the worst. We're seeing threats everywhere, but there's fewer and fewer actually life threatening threats out there today. We perceive that first email or that first social media notification or text message in the morning, we perceive that as a threat. And now we're again instantly on the defensive. If we're able to take ourselves from that sympathetic state,
Mm,
kind of this red zone, if you will, kind of if you can
mhm.
imagine a race car kind of living in that red,
Yeah. Yeah.
but bringing ourselves down into this calmer state, maybe the yellow or the green, we're going to kind of exude this energy, a
Mm,
different energy. I mean,
yeah.
I think you can maybe pick up just since we hit record, the energy in our conversation has slowed down into I mean, it's great. It's great. It's
Yeah.
much more
Yeah.
reflective. We have this saying in the SEAL teams: slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So if you want to go
Mm,
fast, you actually have to go
mm,
slow.
mm.
And I think that is how, one, that's what's happening in our body. A lot of the time we're wanting to go fast
Yeah.
and we end up making errors, or we end
Yeah.
up making other people make errors. And then we have to
Mm,
do it again. We have to do whatever
mhm.
it was that we were doing. We have to do it again. There's
Yeah.
another saying that we have is there's two ways to do things. You can do it right or you can do it again.
Mm,
And doing it right the first time, it saves so much time, effort, energy. If we can change our energy and the energy that we
mm.
bring into a team, there's nothing better than that as a leader, seeing that what you do, what you bring to a team actually positively affects them. So
Yeah.
yeah, what we're doing with our nervous system in meditation, mindfulness, emotional regulation,
Mm,
it's not just doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for
yeah.
ourselves and our team.
Okay, so you have convinced me that I should do this, because even just being here with you, I can feel your calm and your groundedness and this pace that you're bringing to the conversation, right? And I can see how if I were to mirror some of that for my leadership team, it would be like a day and night difference, right? Like my MO is I come in and I'm like a tornado. I'm like, what about this? And then this, and then this, and then, oh, by the way, guys, like, and it is just chaotic everywhere I go. And I fully own that I am the common denominator, right? And so you have
Good for
me
you.
convinced that there is a better way, but other than meditation, where do I even start? How do I even
Mm,
change my ways? I mean, I feel like this
sure.
is part of my personality, maybe part of my hardwiring. What
Well,
what what would I even
first
do?
off, and I think a big chunk of that is you've started with awareness. You're aware that that's an energy that you bring. A lot of people aren't even aware of that.
Mm,
They carry that energy, and either one, they're completely ignorant to it, or
mm,
two, they pride themselves in it and actually use it as this badge of honor.
yeah.
To start, awareness is the key.
Mm,
Awareness. We actually, Will and I run this course called Awareness to Action. And it all starts with that piece, that awareness. You have to be aware that that's the energy that you're bringing. And I
mm.
also want to be abundantly clear here. And I am not perfect at this. Nobody is. Nobody walks around in this Zen state all the time. But by practicing these small things, then you become more aware and you notice when you come into a room like a tornado, like you said, and you
Yeah.
notice the negative effects that you might have on a team. And you can stop yourself, like literally mid tornado, and take a breath and say, hey
Mm,
guys, sorry. That's a key, is
mm,
apologizing. You can apologize to your
mm,
team, be like, hey, I came in here. You guys were already on some type of track and I've taken you down this path. Maybe this isn't the
mm,
path that we need to go down. Let's all take a breath and reset. One, that's the vulnerability and the authenticity that we talked about
mm,
that's going to develop that trust. But two, it allows you to literally take a pause and reset for
mm,
yourself and for everybody in that room. And I tell you,
mm.
there will be a collective sigh. almost guaranteed you will feel it. If you don't see it, you will feel this collective sigh in
Mm,
that room, and the energy will change. But for you personally, what you can do is start small. And you don't want to start practicing mindfulness and meditation when you're in a state of crisis, or
mm,
there's some type of emergency going on. That's when you want to lean on the skills that you've developed, the emotional regulation that you now have.
yeah.
But when all the stuff, the proverbial stuff, is hitting the fan, you don't want to be like, okay, let's stop and meditate. That's not going to work. But if you can do it when you do have the time, and when you are in a better state of mind, and your emotions are in also a better state, then you're going to develop those skills, and then you're going to be able to respond later when most
Mm,
people would react. It's much like, you know, basketball players, right? Professional basketball players, they do not wait to the game until the game to practice. They don't
right.
go out there, they haven't practiced all week, and they play a game and they're like, well, that's the only time I touched the ball. No, they get in, they put in the reps, they get into the gym. I mean, any kind of pro
Mm,
sport, you just use that as a metaphor. You're not getting into the competition and that's your practice. You
yeah. Yeah.
practice so that when it does come time to activate those skills, it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, a superpower. And I'm just kind of imagining, because I've got 3 young kids, I'm imagining the old Power Rangers or something, activate or whatever they said. That's when you activate the skills that you've developed.
Yeah.
And it is they are those skills absolute game changers for yourself, for your team, for high performers, and as an individual coming home to your family. I feel, now this is again my opinion, but I feel I'm a totally different person than I was before I was a meditator.
Mm,
I'm more grounded. I pay more attention to my wife. Uh, I
mm,
I am divorced and I am remarried, but I in my marriage now, I've been a meditator the greater part of
mm,
this marriage. Yes, my first marriage helped with that. I had a practice marriage, but I also feel that the meditation made me a much better husband,
mm.
made me a better father. Um, and again, I'm not perfect, not by any stretch of
Yeah.
the imagination. These
Yeah.
these darn things, our phones, can cause us more anxiety and stress than so many other things. I mean, the things that these things bring to the table for us,
Yeah.
and it can really make us struggle in a relationship. My kids will call me out on it. Like I
Mm,
do a lot of my work on my phone and my
yeah.
computers, and I will, after 5 o'clock, I will make this mental note: hey, set your phone down. We're not working anymore. But sometimes I find myself, I'll get a ding or a notification,
Yeah.
and I'll still pick that thing up and I'll start responding to a work email. And my
Yeah.
kids, who are 9, 7, and 5, they'll say, Daddy, no phone after 5. I'm like,
Mm,
got me. You got me.
yeah.
And they hold me accountable. So they're, but that's a ripple effect too, is this, that down
Yeah.
the road, they're going to notice, they're going to be aware, uh,
Yeah.
and that's going to change their lives too, ideally.
Can I ask what you are proactively teaching your kids about this concept of mindfulness, and
Mm,
what does it look like?
yeah. Funny. So I was at Niagara Falls 2 weeks ago or so, and I was up there teaching this to the FBI. The US FBI had a convention in Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. And I stopped. And before I went to that, I had to go and see Niagara Falls. I'd never been. And I went and stood by the side of it, and I did some reading on the different panels and everything. And, it's been there for 12,000 years or more.
Wow.
And I'm going to get the numbers wrong here, but I want to say it's like 3,000 tons of water per second are falling over those falls. 3,000 tons.
Wow.
Okay. Right.
Wow.
It's that's just mind boggling. And I sat there and I was like, you know what? These amazing falls don't know anything about my deadlines. They don't know anything about my emails, or they don't know that I'm going to go and present today and I'm nervous about it.
Yeah.
And they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I was sitting there thinking that, my wife sent me a picture of my little 5-year-old boy.
Mm.
And I live in Colorado, and it's warm during the summer, but the rivers and the lakes are still very cold. And my little boy was sitting in the river meditating, Like I have this unbelievable image. And I was like, where did you get that? And because right now I talk about it in front of them, but I don't actively teach my 5 and 7-year-old. My 9-year-old is starting to ask questions and she's getting into it because it kind of settles her down at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But my 7-year-old, I haven't actively taught him anything about it. He's seen me do it and
Wow.
he's asked questions, but I haven't actively said, hey, this is meditation. Why don't you try it? But he did it
Yeah.
anyway on his own accord.
Yeah.
So just like anything else with children, what is the saying? More is
More is
caught than
caught
is
than
taught.
taught. Yeah.
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 And that's 100% what I believe. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take an active role in teaching this, but
Hmm.
I guess where I'm trying to say is we should model it
Yeah.
as an adult, model the behaviors that we want them to emulate. And if meditation is one of the things, let them see you do it. Don't hide it behind closed doors. Like
Yeah.
meditate in front of them. And when they ask
Yeah.
questions, tell them, hey, this is what I was doing. I was just settling my body, my mind, my nervous system. If you still get upset, because I still do. Again, I don't walk around in this Zen state all the time. In the morning, when my 5-year-old daughter doesn't put her shoes on after 17 times of telling her, it starts to frustrate me.
Yeah.
But I notice myself escalating and then I'll grab her and I'll look at her and I'll take a couple breaths and she sees me doing that and then she's started to do it. I've gone around
Mm.
so she still sits in the car seat. And I've gone around from the driver's seat to back and open the door to pick her up and she'll be sitting there, with her fingers and thumbs together like this, and has her eyes closed. And she always jokes with me because I don't think she fully understands what it is. But she's like, "Do you know what I'm doing?" I'm like, "Are you meditating?" She's like, "Yes, I'm meditating." I'm like, "I don't know if you're really meditating, but it's great that you know what that word
That's
is
so
as a
sweet.
5-year-old." So bottom line,
So
I think
sweet.
we have to model it, and that's the first step. And then as they get older and maybe start asking questions, then start actively teaching them the different tools that are out there, from something simple like breath work to maybe a
Yeah.
full on meditation to get them settled for the evening so that they, 5, 7, and 9, they've got a lot of energy. And when I tell them,
Hmm.
hey, it's bedtime, there's going to be a little argument sometimes. Well, maybe if we sit down and do some type of breathing exercise together. We have not done that, but maybe that's
Yeah.
something I will start to do.
Yeah. That's great. Can we go back to something you talked about earlier around awareness?
Yeah.
You were saying that that was the first step. So if somebody is listening and maybe they have a blind spot, how do
Hmm.
they create that awareness?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to turn this into an over big sales pitch. but turns out we have an awareness to action assessment that you can take. It's free. So check it out. Anyway, so
So, I mean,
I
share.
think
Yeah, tell us
yeah.
about it. What is it, and
Yeah.
how does it work?
So our awareness to action course is 12 weeks long and it's divided into, different modules that focus on different things. So the first step is just learning to breathe. Like what does breathing even mean, right? How
Mm,
your awareness of your breath. Then we go
yeah.
into getting into your body and that evolves into developing resilience and grit and perseverance through these same tools, emotional regulation,
Yeah.
bringing these tools into relationships, using them to communicate. And so we've taken that whole course and we turned it
Mm,
into, a 5-minute assessment. It's just called the Awareness to Action Self Assessment. And you can take that on our website and it'll show you your blind spots,
mm,
what you can work on, where you're strong. It doesn't say, hey, you suck. Right. It says, hey, you're building on this. Maybe this is an area where you are a little bit more challenged. But if you don't take the assessment, I think being curious and asking people, hey, as a leader,
mm,
maybe within the SEAL teams, we had a trusted advisor that we could lean on. As an officer, we would lean on our enlisted guys or somebody else within the teams, and we would say, hey, you know what? What are my blind spots? What am I missing?
yeah.
And I don't know if you're a Ted Lasso fan at all, but Ted Lasso for me is a fantastic show. For those who don't know Ted Lasso, I highly recommend the show. All about soccer and leadership. There's a ton of leadership in that show.
Mm,
But the one thing that he talks about is being curious and asking
mm,
questions. He talks about that regularly. And I think that's the thing is you can't walk around thinking that we don't have blind spots, because we all do. So why not have somebody show them to you? What are those blind spots? Hey, am I communicating well? Oh, I sent you an email at 11 p.m. Oh, well, maybe that is a blind spot in my saying, hey, I believe in this work-life balance, but here I am sending you an email at 11 p.m. Maybe that's a blind spot.
Yeah.
I think asking questions so that you can be made aware. We don't walk around aware all the time, but you have to be made aware. Asking the question, that's where it starts.
Are you up for some rapid fire questions?
Go for it.
Something that you've stopped doing that changed everything for you.
Something that I've stopped doing that changed everything for me. I wish that I could say I've stopped doing things. I think it's more something that I've started. And I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say mindfulness and meditation, but I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think barking at people, being that reactive leader and being open to feedback, like I was just talking about. But yeah, the barking at people. And again, I still do it, but I'll say I do less of it, and that's changed everything.
What about a mindset that people need to let go of?
Perfection and expectations. I have had a huge negative relationship with a fear of imperfection and fear of failure, and ended up not doing things because I was scared of imperfection. Now I've started a business, I've started a podcast, I've done multiple things and had multiple failures along the way, but I've also learned a lot from those failures and grown from them. And I feel that I'm better. And the expectation of perfection, it doesn't just go with business. It could go with something as simple as I did the dishes last night. This is just an anecdote I'm making up. Maybe I'm not making it up, but I did the dishes last night, and I expected my wife to say thank you. She didn't say thank you. Well, in my mind, I'm like, John, that was a silly expectation. Guess how much she does for us? And how often do I not say thank you? Let go of that expectation. Let go of these expectations about everything, and that's going to change your life. It will change your life.
Good. What about a question everyone should be asking themselves?
I think the question that we get asked by others all too often is, how are you? Well, it's not how often, it's not asked too often, but it's how we respond. We respond with fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
But really, I think if we stop and we ask ourselves that question and we're honest with ourselves, we're going to be better for it. How? Like, just literally stare at yourself in the mirror, say, how am I doing? Am I okay? Do I need help? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to take a knee? Or the other side, how am I doing? Oh, you know what? I haven't been doing enough. Maybe I need to step up my game. I think asking yourself, how am I, is probably very simple and maybe overly simple, but the effects of the answers are profound.
What about something that instantly improves your most important relationships?
From the men's perspective, don't try to fix everything. I don't know if you've ever seen it, and there's a phenomenal
I'm glad
video.
we're recording so I can play this for my husband. One more time for the people in the back.
Yeah, right. Have you seen the video? It's not about the nail.
Yeah, we actually play that for our clients in our couples program.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, and it's so accurate. And for your listeners who aren't familiar with it, it's literally this couple sitting on a couch, and the video starts from behind them, and the female in the relationship is complaining about this pressure that she feels. And as the video or the camera pans around, you literally see this carpenter's nail in her forehead. And the man in the relationship says, well, if we could just pull out that nail. And she says, it's not about the nail. See, this is exactly what happens. And he transitions to a person who starts just being empathetic and listening instead of trying to fix the problem. And it changes the conversation. It's hilarious, but it's also all too real. So I would say for a man, try to be more empathetic and just listening than trying to fix things all the time.
And then last rapid fire, what's a book that you think everybody should be reading?
Let's see. So I've got a few favorites. The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is kind of the predecessor to Atomic Habits by James Clear. Those are two of my favorites. And then The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, a phenomenal 3 books. I think anyone that works in the corporate space should read those.
And then if somebody is listening, what's the one thing that you hope that they're taking away from our conversation?
Well, I do hope at least someone is listening. first off. So I think as high performers, which as I understand it, the audience listening are a bunch of high performers and they're going to hold themselves to high standards and ideals. Hold those standards and ideals, but also understand that life is going to happen. And when
Mm,
you are falling short from those for some reason,
mm,
cut yourself some grace. Don't give
mm,
yourself excuses, but you give yourself some grace. And
mm,
then when you're able to get back on that proverbial horse, I know too many high performers who are all or nothing people.
mm.
That's, for
Yeah.
example, let's say they plan on doing a 3-month workout routine, and
Mm,
3 weeks into it, they fall off because they got sick or they got hurt
yeah.
or overuse injury. Then they suddenly go all the way the other way and don't do
Mm,
anything. Give yourself some grace, see what else you can do that matches
mm,
with your ideals and standards, and try to do that, and then stay on that horse. Or if you do fall off that horse, get back on. Don't stay
mm.
off of it.
Okay, Jon, I would love for you to share with the listener how they can get in touch with you. What are you working on? If people
Yeah.
want to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, what's the best way?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I mentioned a couple of them already. The podcast that I do is with my business partner. The podcast is called Men Talking Mindfulness, and we cover a lot of what we talked about today, on the different episodes. But it's not just about mindfulness, and it's not just for men. It's a show that is literally two men speaking about mindfulness, hence the name. And it has kind of started getting towards men's stuff, but it's really for men and those with men in their lives, is what we say, which is everyone. And then our company is called Focus Now Training, and you can find us at focusnowtraining.com. And then you can see everything that I'm involved with on my own website, jonmacaskill.com.
Amazing. We will drop all those links in the show notes as well so that
Awesome.
they're
Well, thank
easily
you.
accessible for our listener. Jon,
Thanks,
it
Ann.
has been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration, and I am excited to start applying some of the things that you shared with us today. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for your
Well,
time.
please do. And thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of Empowered Living. I hope today's conversation gave you something meaningful to reflect on and something practical to carry into the way that you lead, love, and live. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might benefit from the conversation. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.